So here's kind of a closer look at the product we developed for this. So first is an overview of climate change and really how it affects vector-borne illnesses. Part two is all about using the Mosquito Habitat Mapper protocol, which is a phone-based app. Uh, Part three is where the students have the most kind of flexibility, and there are three different options that they can choose based upon the class that they're in or their interest. And then part four is a symposium. So kind of digging a little bit deeper into these. Week one would kind of start out with this overview. And so they're going to learn about dengue fever, Lyme disease, malaria, West Nile, that sort of thing. So all examples of vector-borne illnesses. They'll learn some of the effects on of climate change on vector-borne illnesses, looking at actual data. They can analyze some graphs, synthesize some questions, and there are boxes throughout the student handout where they respond. These are all Google Docs that the students will use. The teacher has access, the instructor has access to all the students' Google Docs, so they can look for those little boxes for student responses, or students can collaborate, work on each other's documents, however the instructor really wants to utilize this. Week two, they get into the protocol. So, what is the life cycle of a mosquito? What are some of the different types of mosquitoes that they should be looking for? Native versus non-native invasive mosquitoes. Um, what kinds of scientific questions they could be posing, figuring out where they're going to sample, how to make observations, both with just their eyesight as well as using a little clip-on magnifier and some other basic tools like a turkey baster to suck up some water and stuff like that. How to use that app, that sort of thing. Again, the three options that the students will have. The first one is kind of a scientific poster that they should, if they're in a science class, they'd be accustomed to this, most likely. But they can review the university collected data. So the Globe Observer program allows students to go and look at the data that both they collected in their particular area, but also globally, where there's thousands of data points all over. So they can collect that data and pose a scientific question and complete a poster. They can also do a review of peer-reviewed scientific literature. So, a person, again, in a science class, this might be a great fit, but it also could be a good fit for, an English class or something like that, where they're digging into text. Lastly is this public outreach option. So they can take a look at what is happening with respect to vector-borne illnesses and climate change, and how is that impacting different populations? Who are the vulnerable populations? And as a result, is there any kind of public outreach that they can do to help mitigate some of these issues? So that is more of a option C. There is more of a humanities-based class option. It could also be used in the science class, but that option was put there specifically for more of the humanities type classes. It could be an education class or whatever. Lots of options. And lastly, we have a Mosquito Symposium. So this is where kind of the instructor has the most wiggle room as to what they want to do or how they want to celebrate all the work that's been done. So ideally, professor, and in our case, in the pilot even, we have three different professors that are rolling this pilot out. And so how can all three of those professors and all of the students that were engaged in that activity, how can they come together to celebrate the work that's been done, both the contribution to NASA science, but also the contribution to their own scientific literacy, and how can they engage with the community? And so that's what part four is all about.